China becomes first to name new Afghan ambassador under Taliban. Russia's Putin and North Korea's Kim hold block party, how about China's Xi? Pentagon's new cyber strategy focuses on Chinese threat. Thailand's government, seeking return of tourists from China, approves visa-free entry for 5 months. China's population decline causes wave of kindergarten closure. It's all covered in today's Understand China. China becomes first to name new Afghan ambassador under Taliban. China became the first country on September 13 to formally name a new ambassador to Afghanistan since the Taliban takeover, after its envoy presented credentials at a ceremony in Kabul. As reported by Reuters, the Taliban have not been officially recognized by any foreign government, and Beijing did not indicate whether September 13's appointment signaled any wider steps towards formal recognition of the Taliban. China's foreign ministry said in a statement the appointment of Ambassador Zhao Xing was a routine formality and is intended to continue advancing dialogue and cooperation between China and Afghanistan. It added, China's policy towards Afghanistan is clear and consistent. At the appointment ceremony, Zhao praised the Taliban for significant economic progress and improved security. He promised, China respects Afghanistan's national sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity and will never interfere in Afghanistan's internal affairs. Zhao replaced Ambassador Wang Yu, who was China's envoy to Afghanistan from 2019 until August 2023. Some other countries have kept the ambassadors they sent before 2021 in place, but China is the first to appoint a new representative and receive ceremonial acceptance from the Taliban regime. The Taliban was delighted with the show of respect from Beijing, and oblivious to the Chinese Foreign Ministry's insistence that it signaled no changes in policy. Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi called Zhao's appointment a significant step with a significant message for other nations. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said it was a signal for other countries to come forward and interact with the Islamic Emirate. Russia's Putin and North Korea's Kim hold block party, how about China's Xi? A rare meeting on September 13 between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin has recently garnered public attention. They have discussed many issues, from the war in Ukraine, military matters, to possible Russian help for the secretive communist state satellite program. Putin showed Kim around Russia's most advanced space rocket launch site in Russia's Far East and discussed the possibility of sending a North Korean cosmonaut into space. Kim, who arrived by train from North Korea, asked detailed questions about rockets as Putin showed him around the Vostochny Cosmodrome. It looks like they have been busy doing their own series of treatises, leaving a significant question, how about China's Xi? To answer that question, observers and analysts gave different opinions. In an op-ed, Bloomberg said that, all of a sudden, Putin and Kim are best brothers, and Xi may be getting FOMO. Jessica Carl, Bloomberg opinion editor, wrote, speaking of China, the third member of the neighborhood triangle, what's Xi Jinping up to right now? Do we think he's scouring the press conference photos online, scoffing at the luxury armored train that carried North Korea's leader, ogling the handshakes and denouncements of imperialism? She then pictured the vision when she saw the image of Kim and Putin. According to Carl, she may have said, what are they looking up at? She then wonders about the conversation between Kim and Putin, asking whether they are Xi's friends, enemies, or maybe, both. According to AP News, while Kim vowed full and unconditional support for all decisions by Putin, the Russian president is believed to be seeking one of the few things impoverished North Korea has in abundance, stockpiles of aging ammunition and rockets for Soviet-era weapons. The partnership between the two could be very fruitful for both nations. Due to a series of crippling sanctions from the West, North Korea could use some food, cash and energy supplies from Russia. Pyongyang may also want advanced technology from Moscow for its satellites and nuclear-powered submarines. Russia, for its part, is in need of ammunition for its war in Ukraine. According to Bloomberg, it is a friendship of collusion, but options for interdicting any arms transfers are limited, given the shared border between Russia and North Korea. Bloomberg's editors also comment, deeper military ties between Moscow and Pyongyang should worry China. Casting a blind eye to arms transfers would worsen frictions with European countries, whom China still hopes to peel away from the US. As reported by VOA, analysts have taken note of China's silence on the Putin-Kim talks. They said China is cautiously managing the situation and is reluctant to be drawn into the controversy as the world eyes the arms deal talks between North Korea and Russia. According to Young Dae-jin, who is director of Han Peace Institute at Halla University in South Korea, China does not have to broadcast its position on the summit meeting between leaders from North Korea and Russia, and therefore highlights the tensions amid the Ukraine war as China prepares to host the Asian Games in Hangzhou. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said at a news conference that any form of cooperation of any country with North Korea must respect the sanctions regime that was imposed by the Security Council. The September 13 meeting came hours after North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles toward the sea, extending a highly provocative run in testing since 2022, as Kim used the distraction caused by war in Ukraine to accelerate his weapons development. South Korea's Unification Ministry, which handles inter-Korean affairs, said it was the first time the North launched a missile while Kim was abroad. Pentagon's new cyber strategy focuses on Chinese threat. The U.S.'s Department of Defense, DoD, is pledging to use offensive cyber capabilities to defend America and its allies against adversaries, particularly China, as part of its latest cybersecurity strategy. DoD on September 12 unveiled an unclassified version of its 2023 cybersecurity strategy, months after a classified version of the plan was shared with Congress, which calls on the Pentagon's cyber workforce to use offensive cyber operations to frustrate and disrupt adversaries, like China, in cyberspace to minimize threats to the U.S. The summary of the new strategy said that China is the pacing challenge of the U.S. in cyberspace, and that it routinely conducts malicious cyber activity against the United States as well as its allies and partners. The summary also stated that China poses a broad and pervasive cyber espionage threat. China's theories of victory rest on the use of cyber means to degrade the combat capability of the joint force, as well as that of our allies and partners. It added that China had undertaken significant military modernization and reorganization efforts in pursuit of this goal. U.S. officials have also sounded the alarm that China seeks to gain an advantage in cyberspace to emerge as a superpower with global influence in the cyber and emerging technology domain. Speaking separately September 12, David Frederick, National Security Agency Assistant Deputy Director, said, PRC officials have gone as far as to state that they view technology as the main battlefield between the United States and the PRC. Speaking of Beijing's willingness to fight in the cyber domain, Frederick stated, "We've got indications all the way back to that 2010 to 2012 timeframe, and more recently, that the PRC would use attacks on critical infrastructure as part of a conflict." He added, they would not only aim to achieve disruptions to a U.S. military plan, but also induce societal panic. Mika Eoyang, the Pentagon's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Cyber Policy, said, there is a recognition that we will, as a department, need to disrupt malicious cyber activity coming at the United States. According to the summary of DoD's new strategy, the U.S. must build a robust and integrated cyber capability, one ready to respond rapidly across the spectrum of conflict, and to help prepare to fight and win the nation's wars. According to the strategy, cyber capabilities are most effective when used in concert with other instruments of national power. The strategy reads, in this way, cyberspace operations represent an indispensable element of U.S. and allied military strength and form a core component of integrated deterrence. Thailand's government, seeking return of tourists from China, approves visa-free entry for 5 months. Thailand's new government on September 13 approved a measure granting temporary visa-free entry to Chinese tourists, signaling that the recovery of the country's tourism industry is a top economic priority. Citing the statement given by Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin, AP News reported that the visa exemption, which will also apply to visitors from the Central Asian nation of Kazakhstan, will be effective from September 25 until February 29 next year. He said the relevant authorities had been consulted to ensure they are ready to handle the expected surge in travelers. China more than a decade ago became a major source of tourists to Thailand, with almost 11 million visitors in 2019, accounting for 27.6% of all arrivals the year before the coronavirus pandemic devastated the tourist market. The government proposed the measure due to concerns that the number of Chinese tourists this year might not reach the initial target of 5 million due to strict visa requirements. The Tourism Authority of Thailand reported that around 1.4 million Chinese tourists came in the first 6 months of this year. Thailand's economy slumped during the pandemic as its huge tourism industry virtually collapsed. The country received about 40 million international visitors in 2019 who the government estimated generated 1.9 trillion baht, $53.2 billion, in revenue, an amount that plummeted by more than 99% by 2021, according to data from the Ministry of Tourism and Sports. Chai Wacharong, a spokesperson for the Office of the Prime Minister, said Thailand received 15 million international visitors in the first 7 months of this year. He said the government aims to draw 28 million international visitors and generate 1.4 trillion baht, $39.2 billion, in tourism revenue in 2023. Chai praised the visa exemption scheme, saying the tourism industry is the only economic machine remaining that can be driven with hope to generate new income quickly for Thailand. Besides the visa exemption, other measures the cabinet approved included a reduction in electricity fees and diesel prices, as well as a 3-year debt relief program for farmers, to address the higher cost of living and other economic woes. China's population decline causes wave of kindergarten closure. China's declining birth rate has seriously affected preschool education, leading to a wave of kindergarten closures. Recently, 2 more kindergartens in Jiangxi and Hunan have closed due to low student enrollment, drawing public attention. Nanchang New District Primero Kindergarten, a newly built kindergarten in Nanchang City, Jiangxi Province, announced its closure after 5 days of opening. A school group of parents issued a notice, saying that the kindergarten could not support a semester's expenses due to low enrollments, and then it decided to close the school. According to teachers from the school, the kindergarten this year attracted a total of 34 enrollments, which were divided into 3 classes. A semester fee is about $548, 3,980 yuan per student, and 26 have already paid tuition fees. The kindergarten reportedly may refund 80% of the total paid fees through 2 separate payments. 30% will be refunded first, and the remaining will be returned to parents within a year. According to the Enterprise Search app, Primero Kindergarten was established on January 20, 2022, and its scope of business includes preschool education for children aged 3 to 6 years old. Another school that shares the same plight is Huifan Chaofan Kindergarten in Xinjiang City, Hunan Province. On September 10, Huang, a student parent, told Jimu News that from last year to the first half of this year, Chaofan Kindergarten's teaching was normal, and its reputation was quite good. Just for the start of this new semester, the kindergarten has postponed its opening date to September 4. On September 1, tuition fees were still being charged. On the morning of September 4, the Chaofan kindergarten teacher announced the closure of the kindergarten in the class group and informed parents of the school's financial problem. Teachers' salaries were not being paid normally, so no teachers were going to work. The kindergarten was closed, and the opening time of the school would be notified later. If the kindergarten cannot open normally, subsequent tuition fees will be refunded individually. According to Huang, the refund for 201 students may reach more than $290,000, 2.14 million yuan. The kindergarten closures may not be isolated cases. After 3 years of COVID-19 restrictions, China's birth rate has been shrinking, and kindergartens also saw a plunge in their enrollments. As reported by Reuters, China's birth rate last year fell to 6.77 births per 1,000 people from 7.52 births in 2021, the lowest on record. The number of kindergartens in China has dropped for the first time in 15 years, falling by more than 5,000 to 289,200 kindergartens nationwide in 2022. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from Understand China, and thank you for tuning in.